This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me on a Friday. 1 hour from now, you know what we're doing, Joy.
NFL predictions?
NFL predictions. The most competitive, interesting division is up today, the NFC East. We've done the NFC North, AFC North, AFC East yesterday, NFC East today, Cowboys, Eagles, Washington Giants in 1 hour, and we've been kind of watching how much you like that stuff. It's really fun. It is, to me, the best division in football, the most competitive, the greatest fan bases. Can't wait in 1 hour from now. We got a lot of football, got a lot of NBA. I want to start with this. So I went and watched a movie yesterday. It's that new Jurassic movie with my son. And I told my son going in, I'm like, Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 51. That's a terrible number. That's a terrible rating. The critics didn't like it at all. And so I told my son, it's not going to be very good. It probably won't be very good, but, you know, he wanted to go watch it. He's my son. And, you know, it's the summer. It's hot out. And I'm like, we just watched a couple movies this week. And I'm like, all right, let's go watch the movie. And like 10 minutes into the movie, I turn to my son. I'm like, that's pretty good. He's like, yeah. And then an hour into the movie, I turn to my son. I'm like, that's pretty good. My son's like, yes, this is good. And then about an hour and a half into the movie, it was wrapping up. And I'm like, this was awesome. And my son was like, yeah, this movie was great. And then as I drove home, I texted a friend. He's a smart, successful guy, and he's got 3 boys. He goes, yeah, I loved it. So did my 3 boys. And I texted another friend. He goes, I didn't take my son. I went. I loved it. And then I asked Joy Taylor this morning, did you watch that Jurassic movie?
We went and saw it, and we loved it also.
Yeah. Critics panned it. It's made $1 billion. Go watch it. But the reason I love the movie is because it delivered on exactly what I thought I would get. I was not seeking a love story, international espionage. I wanted cool dinosaurs. I wanted Chris Pratt. I wanted crazy Jeff Goldblum. I got a mansion, a bunch of dinosaurs, evil characters, a new dinosaur eating people. That's exactly what I wanted. It delivered on expectations. I got exactly what I wanted. The bidding war on the new dinosaur stuff is awesome.
Spoiler alert, but I think people figure it out.
It's made $1 billion already. I figure most of the world's already seen it, okay?
I've seen the
Didn't
movie.
come out yesterday. It's made $1 billion. Bottom line is, it delivered on what I was hoping I would get. Crazy Jeff Goldblum. My son, I think he's one of my favorite actors. My son loves Chris Pratt. My son loves Robert Downey and Chris Pratt. Those are the actors he likes, and he got that. And then we got dinosaurs and a new one and a cool one and a plot that was real easy to follow and a mansion and a castle and evil guys and dinosaurs eating them. Anywho, it made me think of LeBron. What? Huh? Let me ask you. Critics have been panning LeBron for years. Didn't do this, not 6 for 6, can't do this, should have done that. If I would have said 17 years ago, because he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I didn't know much about him, at 16 years old. If I'd have said that day, okay, 17 years from now, here's what this kid's going to be. And I said, first of all, his first game as a teenager, 25, 9, 6, and 4 steals. It will be an all-star line. His first game. Kobe didn't play for 2 years. His first game will be an all-star level performance. Oh, that is awesome. I'll take that. The second thing I'd say, okay, also, he's going to take at the time the worst team to ever get to the NBA championship. There's never going to be a roster this bad at this point in the NBA. He's going to take it by himself mostly. In 2007 to the finals. He's going to be that good? What? I mean, Dr. J couldn't take a bad roster. What? I mean, Magic Johnson got Kareem right out of the gate. He couldn't take a bad... What? No, this kid he'll take the worst roster at this point in the NBA to the finals. Oh, I'm not done. He's going to go team up with Pat Riley and win 2 titles. And he's going to go back to the team he left in Cleveland, a city that can't win anything. And he's going to win a title there. You'd be like, woo-wee. I'm done. Oh, no, I'm not stopping there. No. Then he will be on track to be the greatest statistical player in the history of the game. If you combine all the stats that matter, he'll be first, second, or third in all of them. Well, you mean like Wilt, Magic? No, God, he'll blow him away in almost everything. Okay. I'm. You got me. Okay, I'll take all this. Okay. Oh, I'm not finished. In year 16, he'll go to the Lakers, and here's the crazy thing. He's still easily the best player in the league. Oh, come on, you're making crap up now. Michael Jordan by 36 wasn't he? Come on, Magic at 32. No. He'll be the best player in the league easily. You'd be like, all right, satisfied. And all I hear are critics. Everybody I know that's smart liked Jurassic Park because it delivered on everything you wanted to see. If you'd have gone back to when LeBron was on the cover of SI and said his first game will be the greatest first game ever by a teenager, he'll take the worst starting five at the time ever to the finals. He'll go back and team up Pat Riley back to his hometown that never win. He'll be on track to be the greatest player statistically we've ever seen, and frankly, shrinking legends like Jerry West, Larry Bird, Magic. And in his 16th year, he will easily be the most fascinating, durable machine, part man, part machine we've ever seen. And he's going to go to the Lakers. How much fun is that going to be? And Magic and Kobe, by the way, are going to totally embrace it and be on board with it. Folks, expectations dictate happiness. You go to Jurassic Park, you're not getting a love story. You go to Jurassic Park, you're getting cool dinosaurs that eat evil characters. Be happy with it. Let me shift gears to this. It's funny about technology, iPhones primarily. They're rewiring our brains. We know this to be true. They've done studies on this. They certainly rewired mine. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I am less patient than I've ever been. Generally, when you're a kid, you're impatient. You get older, you get more patient. No, it's not the way it's worked. Because I get anything I want. I can order my food. I can get new information. I can order my movie ticket. I get everything off my phone. And by the way, I get it on my terms. I don't even know how I can binge watch TV shows now. I'll watch them on my terms. I'll watch 9 straight shows in a row, video on demand. I don't have to wait for a network to give me a show. I'll go watch my own shows when I want to watch them. I'll get pizza delivered when I want it delivered on my phone. That's what this is doing to our brains. It's rewiring them. And it's making us all impatient. God, you drive down the road and the phone, people are on their phones in their cars. They're not talking to people. They're looking for new information. So Steph Curry yesterday, the NBA really understands this. We have changed as people. We continue to change as people. We want new stuff, new information, new games, new stars, moving places. Mobility. Steph Curry was at a golf tournament in Lake Tahoe. It's an annual event. Beautiful, beautiful place if you've never been there, vacation sometime. And he talked about player mobility, Boogie Cousins to the Warriors. Here's Steph Curry.
That's what NBA, Twitter, and all that type of stuff is for. It's great entertainment. It's great fun. That's why the NBA is so popular right now. And stories like that where guys go where they want to go and change teams, and the landscape of the league changes every year. That's what keeps people watching, what makes it fun.
You all thought it was going to wreck the league. No, KG to the Celtics, LeBron to Miami, LeBron to Cleveland, Boogie to the Warriors, Chris Paul to Houston, LeBron to the Lakers, Kyrie to the Celtics is not killing the league. The opposite is happening. It is elevating the league. This year, highest ratings in the conference finals since 1979. Since 1979. The NFL wants to own players and restrict players, and quarterbacks can't move, and I can franchise players. The NBA is willing to allow its superstars to move, and it pays back twofold. I'm old enough to have been in more than one marriage and more than one relationship. Here's some advice. Empower your partner. You'll get it back tenfold. Don't suppress people. Allow them the mobility to make choices, and they will reward you. Players are making owners richer by moving, not poorer. Valuations on franchises have doubled in 6 years. It used to be you bought a team, waited 30 years, sold it, and made some cash. You're seeing franchises now in the last 6-7 years double, especially ones with stars who have moved teams. How is the NFL right now not watching the NBA and going, they've stolen July from us? It used to be July. We got into football talk. I'm leading my show with NBA again. Oh, by the way, occasionally quarterbacks do move. Brett Favre to the Vikings. Utterly fascinating for 2 years. Peyton Manning to Denver. The talk of the league. If the NFL owners would empower some of their stars to leave. Colin, what about the small markets? Oh, fear-mongering, here we go. By the way, did Paul George choose a big market or Oklahoma City? Is Russell Westbrook in a big market or Oklahoma City? Is Giannis in a big market or is he in Milwaukee and told me 2 weeks ago I'm never leaving Milwaukee? Is Kawhi in New York? No. You want to know who's dying in the NBA? New York, Chicago. For the last 5 years, Los Angeles, Dallas, Atlanta, big markets. Philadelphia is finally interesting after 25 years. You know who's been interesting for like a decade now? Oklahoma City. The Pacers are always interesting. San Antonio's got a bunch of titles. New Orleans has Anthony Davis. You think suddenly all the NFL quarterbacks would not want to go to Green Bay? 9 guys would go to the Cowboys? You do realize one quarterback can start and we have something called the salary cap. NFL owners, stop suppressing. Stop restricting player mobility. The NBA just stole July from you. They stole it from baseball 5, 6, 10 years ago. They've now stolen it from you. And by the way, in October, in the heart of football season, I will lead my show with LeBron and the Lakers. Just like in March, I wouldn't talk college basketball or the Masters if Aaron Rodgers was replacing Tom Brady, who retires in New England in 12 months. Stop restricting player movement. Owners, it pays back twofold. Let your stars leave. They mostly won't if you treat them right. But if you're Dan Gilbert and resent a star, or Pat Riley and you're in your 70s now and you kind of want to control everything, they'll leave you. But, you know, you'll get another one. How does the NFL not watch what's happening now and think, Jesus, can you imagine Aaron Rodgers on the open market? Can you imagine Carson Wentz in 4 years on the open market? Andrew Luck on the open market. Matt Ryan in the open market. Drew Brees on the open market. Are you kidding me? Don't restrict. Allow partners to move. They will pay you back tenfold. Steph Curry's right in the money. All this mobility isn't hurting the league. Our brains have been rewired. We want new stories every day. This player mobility has elevated this league. All right, good stuff. So I saw a quote, oh, brother, by a former NFL coach. And there is a reason he's a former NFL coach, and that's coming up next. It's the Herd in Los Angeles. Yeah, people always worry about market size. Small market Milwaukee right now has a better roster than big market Atlanta, big market Chicago, big market Dallas, big market Brooklyn, big market Knicks. Milwaukee and Oklahoma City have better rosters than all those major markets. Stop the fear-based concern. Portland's got a star in Damian Lillard. They just have to reboot it and they could get another one. I mean, this idea that if the NFL let their players have mobility, all the small markets would die is a bunch of garbage. And it's just ridiculous. Baseball doesn't have a salary cap. There's a little bit of a concern with that. Oakland's never going to be the Yankees. But in the NBA and the NFL and hockey, it's not a market-sized league. It's a great GM league. Get good players, draft right. All right, so I saw this quote yesterday from Ben McAdoo. His name's Ben McAdoo. He's the coach of the New York Giants. They fired him, didn't get a coordinator job. He said, I think the kids the Jets drafted, that Sam Darnold guy, I mean, he's special. He's obviously a talented guy. He can make plays with his feet, but I'd have a hard time drafting a guy in the first round where you don't necessarily like the way he throws. It's a fundamental flaw. I believe in fundamentals. Number one job is to pass the football. I don't like the way he throws the ball. I'd have a hard time picking him, right? Okay, timeout. Sam Darnold's not perfect. You wouldn't pick him in the first round. Those were your words, not mine. First round. Okay. Aaron Rodgers out of college had a funky throwing motion and was 6'2", barely. He didn't grow, but he changed his motion, and now he's the best quarterback talent in the league. Nobody's saying Sam Darnold's perfect. In fact, let me give you my 5 quarterbacks, 5 young quarterbacks who I'm putting all my money on over the next decade. I don't count Andrew Luck. He's 29. He's in his 7th year. Andrew Luck is halfway through his career. He's not a young kid. These are the 5 guys I'm putting my money on to change the league over the next decade. Philadelphia's Carson Wentz, the Niners' Jimmy Garoppolo, the Houston Texans' Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys, and Sam Darnold for the New York Jets. By the way, I've got concerns with all of them. I'll give you my concerns for every one of those guys. Let's start with Carson Wentz. He got injured. Why? Because he's a great athlete. And great athletes, man, if God gives you a great singing voice, you're going to sing in the shower, you're going to sing in the car, you're going to sing walking down the street, and you may end up singing on a stage. Carson Wentz is a freak athlete. 6'5", huge arm, can run around, got hurt running around. And he has said, I'm not going to change my style. I don't like when young guys get hurt early. I don't. Now, Michael Jordan got hurt early. John Stockton got hurt early. Tom Brady got banged up early. But I have a concern. He's a great athlete. He likes to run around. Defensive players hurt offensive players. Let's go to Jimmy Garoppolo. He's one of my 5 that I'm building the league around for the next 10 years. Jimmy Garoppolo's already had an injury. The Niners' offensive line's awful. They don't have a running game, so they're going to ask him to throw 34 times a game because Kyle Shanahan likes to sling it. I'm worried. That division, have you seen the Rams' defensive front? Aaron Donald could make a small sandwich out of him. Now they have Ndamukong Suh. I'm worried that he's going to play the Rams 2 times a year the next couple of years and get mushed. I worry about it. He's got an injury. He likes to move out of the pocket, and their offensive line isn't good, and that offensive staff wants to sling it 35 times a game. I'm worried. Deshaun Watson, guy's marvelous. He's had 2 ACL surgeries. He's still a baby, 1 on both leg. It worries me. Like Carson Wentz, he's a freak athlete. Deshaun Watson in the 8th grade, it was either the 8th or 9th grade, won the high jump in the state of Georgia. Do you understand how many athletes Georgia has? Outside of maybe like Florida, Texas, California, and maybe more than California, it has more good high school football players and athletes than any state in the country. He was either an 8th or a 9th grader, and he won the state high jump. When God gives you those gifts, you use them, like my singing voice reference. He likes to move. He should move. He's had 2 ACL surgeries. I love him. I'm concerned. Let's go to Dak Prescott. He is not a world-class athlete. He does not have Carson Wentz's arm. I really like him, but he's an inconsistent thrower. He's not a dynamic athlete. He doesn't have a dynamic arm. He is a grinder. He is, I think, above the shoulders, exactly what I want. I think he's tough and durable. But I do worry in that division. I do worry with that pressure. I do worry what the Cowboys put around him. I do worry about Ezekiel Elliott staying out of trouble. I got concerns. I don't think of all these quarterbacks I'll list, he is an elite thrower of the football. And number 5 is Sam Darnold. I'm putting my money on him for the next 10 to 15 years in this league. Yes, I've got concerns with Sam Darnold. He plays too fast and too loose. Andrew Luck plays fast and loose. A lot of turnovers. Brett Favre played fast and loose. Too many turnovers. Sam Darnold's not perfect. In fact, let me double down on this. Sam's going to have a real choppy rookie year. He's young. The Jets don't have anything around him. And for the first 12 to 18 months of his career, the New York Giants are going to look like they were brilliant passing on him and taking Saquon Barkley because running backs transition much easier high school to college, college to pros than quarterbacks do. Very rarely do you see a quarterback in high school go to college and star. Very rarely do you see a college quarterback come into the NFL and star. Even Carson Wentz was bumpy as a rookie. Andrew Luck threw a lot of picks and made a lot of mistakes as a rookie. Peyton Manning, early in his career, made a lot of mistakes. Sam Darnold's going to be real choppy his first year. But years 3 through 13, the Giants will regret passing on him and taking a running back who in year 13 will already be out of the National Football League. So Ben McAdoo, yes, Sam Darnold's imperfect. The top 5 guys in the league I like for the next decade, I love these guys, and I got concerns with all of them. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Let's stick with quarterbacks. Cleveland Browns rookie Baker Mayfield has a fan. Currently in the minor leagues, Tim Tebow. Tebow's Rumble Ponies were playing in Akron, and he had this to say about the number 1 overall pick.
I'm sure that there are Browns fans that were disappointed in it, but I will say this, that I think that they're making some moves to give themselves a chance. I'm friends with Baker, and I think he's going to do a good job. I just saw him 2 days ago. I think he's really focused on trying to prove that he was worth it, and I think he's going to do a good job.
I think the two of them are similar, and then they both have chips on their shoulders.
By the way, Tim Tebow's a good baseball player. You know what?
Tim Tebow's a good athlete.
I never bought into the Tim Tebow I'm building my football franchise around him, but when I watch Tim Tebow highlights on YouTube, he looks like he could play in the bigs. I'm not saying he's going to be Mike Trout, but good for Tim Tebow. I love that he chased his dream, and he's a heck of a baseball player.
He is so polarizing, and it's always fascinated me with Tim Tebow. People either like Tim Tebow or they truly, they can't even explain how much they hate Tim Tebow.
I think he's hard to hate. I think he's easy to doubt as a quarterback. I never hated him. I just doubted that kind of thing could work.
Tim Tebow makes people crazy, but hopefully Baker Mayfield's ceiling in football is a little higher than Tim Tebow's.
Yeah.
So new Panthers offensive coordinator Norv Turner knows Cam Newton can light it up, but he wants to see more consistency from his starting quarterback. So in a recent interview with Sirius XM NFL Radio, he said this.
The one thing that I think, when you look at it, that we're going to work hard to help him is he has a large number of games where his quarterback rating is as high as anyone's. It's in the high 90s, low 100s. In the middle of that, of a 16-game season, he has 4 or 5 games where that rating is not very good. And that obviously makes your average not as good as you'd like. So what we're going to try to work hard for is eliminate the peaks and the valleys and try to, on a weekly basis, make it more consistent. And I think that'll help us offensively be more consistent and certainly will help him.
I love hearing this. I've always felt like this was Cam's biggest issue, is that he can be so dynamic and so great, and then the next week it's like, who are you? Where did you go? What happened?
Well, because the league's become a precision league, and he's not a precision thrower. Cam in the 70s, 80s, 90s is very Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw was not a precision quarterback as much as over-the-top, wow you with his arm strength, home run hitter. And by the way, Terry's got a bunch of rings. Cam is kind of a throwback quarterback where he's not real accurate. I mean, he'll throw swing passes to running backs and sail the ball over their head. It's become a bubble screen precision league, no huddle, bubble screen, 8 yards, 7 yards, 6 yards. And that's not who he is. So can Norv Turner say, listen, you got to work on your precision? Because I don't know if Cam has that in him. If it doesn't work with Norv, it's not going to work because Norv makes everybody better, and Norv makes everybody better immediately as a quarterback.
I also think Cam is very emotional, obviously, and that plays a role on the field. I have no problem with it. I think Cam is wildly entertaining. I have no problem with his personality on the field. I just think that having those kind of emotional swings also affects it, especially when you're not incredibly accurate.
You become your emotions.
Exactly. Yes. Finally, Isaiah Thomas has found a new home after spending last season with the Cavs and the Lakers. 1 year after his Brinks truck and max contract demands, he has agreed to a 1 year, $2 million deal with the Denver Nuggets for the veteran minimum. According to ESPN, he'll have a key role as an off-the-bench scorer. But before this deal was announced, Isaiah felt the need to remind everyone of the incredible run he had with Boston, writing that people are so quick to forget. This was on his Instagram story. He posted a couple pictures of his statistical games, his high stat games with the Celtics. And man, the thing with Isaiah Thomas is I really feel like he is an example of why someone like Kawhi Leonard would take the most amount of time that he needs to feel 100%.
Yes, right.
Because Isaiah Thomas was a guy that, while his height always played a role in it, I mean, he was looking for a max contract. Maybe he wasn't going to get a max contract, but he was going to get paid. And that injury, I don't think he's ever going to get paid.
No. The thing, though, Isaiah Thomas is not a max player.
No.
So if he would have ever signed a max contract, it would not be good for the league. It would be good for one person, Isaiah Thomas. It wouldn't be good for that team. It wouldn't be good for that GM. It wouldn't be good for the league. You don't want a league where you're massively overplaying for B-C players. You don't. That's not good for the league. You want to pay your stars a ton. You want players to have mobility. But if everybody's like, oh, I wish he would have had the deal. He's not a max player.
He wasn't going to get a max deal, but he's never going to get that big contract anymore because he played through that injury too soon, and you just can't trust him. It just he's not reliable physically anymore, and it is unfortunate. I feel for him. I feel like his reputation went through such a swing after leaving Boston with all the drama that happened in Cleveland, and now he's out with the Lakers. It's just it's a crazy spin with Isaiah Thomas.
Joey Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
He's my friend. His show's After Mine on Fox Sports Radio. Love having him on a Friday. Put me in a good mood driving to work. I know somebody could do some heavy lifting. Doug Gottlieb. Joy and Doug are carrying the show today. I'm tired. I'm tired of just dominating. All right, Duggar.
How come you weren't out at dinner last night with Leo and Pacino and LeBron?
I really don't. I'm not. It's funny. My wife and I are not big. We're not into the whole Hollywood restaurant scene. I went to Catch. It's fine.
That's kind of a scene. It's a scene in New York. It's a scene in L.A.
Yeah.
That's a restaurant you go to be seen. But I mean, you're very good dinner conversation. I'm surprised that LeBron hasn't looked you up yet.
Well,
disappointed actually.
I have a friend of mine who went and hung out with LeBron yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
Leo.
No, that's not my friend. My friend's more low profile. By the way, I want to ask you one football question before we get into it.
Yes.
Is Ben McAdoo said, listen, I can't draft a guy in the first round without throwing motion. I understand Sam's not your pick. First round? Like, I know 3 GMs in the NFL. I know 3. I text, and I won't unveil their names. All 3 had Sam Darnold as the best quarterback. All 3 had him as a top 4 pick. Am I nuts on that?
No, I know several GMs. I don't know if we're crossing the same GMs that we know, but yes, they far and away, by the way, the number 1 pick. And I thought that the point that you made about the 5 quarterbacks that'll shape the league, it's like, look, Deshaun Watson, can he play in a pro system? Do we have to do the college system? He suffered 2 ACL injuries. You don't have concerns about his knee?
And you like him a lot.
I do. Who doesn't like him based upon his production? But that was very, very limited. We've seen other guys tear apart the league for a couple of games. I kind of go through it. Dak Prescott's a guy who, as he reloads and goes through his progressions, he becomes inaccurate.
Yes.
So the throwing motion is problematic for some. Some people can't get over it. But Peyton Manning was pretty good, and he had a pop gun arm.
And no mobility.
No mobility. Brett Favre, by his own words, did not know what the difference between a nickel and a dime defense was for years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, didn't know, just nodded his head and was like, what is a nickel? What is a dime?
Yeah.
And one of the Detmer boys is like, it's the number of defensive backs in the field. He's like, oh, that makes so. Look, they all have issues, but Sam has it in the leadership, arm strength. The ball actually comes out quick. Your turnover concerns are accurate, but it's a lot like Deshaun Watson, where this past year, much like Deshaun's last year at Clemson, he was asked to carry more of a load. Those turnovers were early in the year as opposed to late. I think those can be cleaned up. And they gave him Josh McCown as a mentor quarterback who, even by Johnny Manziel's own account, Manziel has said if Josh McCown was there his first year instead of his second year in Cleveland, he would still be in the league.
All right, we got a ton of basketball stuff. Kawhi rumors to Toronto. My thoughts about Steph Curry. Doug Gottlieb is here. I want to give him a lot of time on the back end of this hour. Don't go anywhere. All right, Doug Gottlieb, let's not waste any time. Rumors this morning. Toronto may have dangled him out there that Kawhi Leonard could go to the Raptors. Players historically, even Steve Nash passed on Canada. Cold, northern, bad taxes. LA's got bad taxes, but good weather. It's a winter league. Do you buy Toronto Kawhi rumors?
I do, actually, because Toronto, they've had enough of winning in the regular season. They want to win the postseason. And though you and I agree on cold weather, NBA players to a man will tell you, like, Toronto blows people away when they...
it's a beautiful city.
Well, it's also an incredible international city, great restaurants, great bars, good atmosphere, good kind of young vibe. And I think every American should spend 9 months in Canada before coming to Los Angeles. But, like, look, if you're the Raptors, you got to make more of a change than just promoting Nick Nurse. You know, that's really all they've done so far, right?
Yeah.
Is Dwayne Casey's now in Detroit, and they promote Nick Nurse. You got to do something.
By the way, Boston's getting their stars back.
Yes.
Philly stars are getting better.
Yes.
Milwaukee's roster's better.
I think the tales of the demise of the Eastern Conference is greatly exaggerated. What people miss about LeBron's move to Miami, okay? The reason the East took such a nosedive wasn't just because LeBron went to Miami and there wasn't competition. Remember, Chris Bosh was in Toronto. That eliminated that. They had to completely scrap it.
Yeah.
And LeBron was in Cleveland. They won 61 games. So in addition to building up one super team,
took down two.
Whereas, look, this crushes Cleveland. Cleveland is start over.
Yeah.
Okay? But it doesn't crush Milwaukee. It doesn't crush Washington, who they got rid of Gortat. They're going small. It doesn't crush the Boston Celtics, who they're just knocking at the door of what their potential ultimately can be. And I think Toronto is they're going to have to do something to try and take that next step. Do I love it? No. I mean, if San Antonio can get back in return what has been proposed, which is DeMar DeRozan, the only win for Toronto is they get out of that DeMar DeRozan contract, which stunk the second it was signed.
Okay. All right. So I said to start my show, I watched Jurassic Park yesterday, and I went in looking for cool dinosaurs and evil characters and an easy plot and crazy Jeff Goldblum, and my son loves Chris Pratt. I got all of it. I liked it. Critics hated it. I said, if you go back to when LeBron's 16 years old, and I would have told you 6 or 7 things about him, including multiple titles, multiple teams, took the worst team ever to the finals. His first game as a pro, as a baby, was a all-star line. He is going to be the greatest statistical player ever. Oh, no, by the way, in year 16, he moves to the Lakers, and he's still the best player in the league. I think our expectations are sort of warped on him. I think we would have stopped at he wins 2 team titles in Miami and 1 in Cleveland. You could just say, okay, he's every bit as good as we thought. He's giving us layers now that we would have been. You could not have expected him to be the greatest statistical player and then end his career potentially as a Laker.
Well, no, there's a lot of Tiger Woods to it, where we were told at a very young age he was going to be the next great thing, and he's lived up to it. And unlike Tiger Woods, there's been nothing off the court nor nothing off the course, to point to in terms of negatives, right? So he has delivered. But I think the franchise idea is brilliant, right? It's like Rocky IV. Was Rocky IV the best Rocky? No, but it was entertaining. It gave us Drago, right? It gave us the "I must break you" great line.
Right.
Unfortunately, Apollo didn't make it to see the end of Rocky IV.
Right.
But Rocky I was the best movie. But, Rocky II, Rocky III, that's what LeBron is, right? LeBron 1 was in Cleveland, gets to the finals, all this dysfunction. Then we had Rocky, LeBron 2 was in Miami.
Fun.
Gives us 2 titles, but also because he didn't win that last one, then, oh, wait, there's going to be a 3. 3 was... Now he comes back to Cleveland. He wins.
I think that was, by the way, the best one. The best LeBron was the LeBron back to Cleveland title.
Right, and this is
LeBron 4.
LeBron 4, which, like Rocky 4, not the best movie, but is going to give us some good stuff. And, if eyes can change and yous can change, we all can change. Rocky at the end.
The workout montage in Rocky 4 is some of the best stuff.
The beard, he was up in the mountain.
It's actually a very fascinating by Doug. I went to Jurassic. Jurassic 1's considered the best. But again, I found last night was an hour 55 with my son, bonding with my son. I'm like, this is great. I got a new dinosaur. I got a great plot. I'm like, this was awesome.
I'm guessing there was a seed planted that there might be another Jurassic.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Last seen.
I
Probably.
haven't seen this
By the
Jurassic,
way,
but I've seen Jurassic.
Michael Jordan had the first Michael Jordan. That was awesome.
Yes.
The baseball wasn't awesome. The third Jordan back to Chicago was awesome, and the fourth Jordan was pathetic. It's okay. We're seeing, by the way, Kevin Durant's opening was good but disappointing. Now his second one's strange but awesome. He's going to have a third, by the way.
There's going to be a third one there. You know, there is something we bring up, though, as we talk about Durant and and LeBron and the juxtaposition of Jordan. You mentioned how super teams are good for the player mobility. You're a big player mobility guy.
I'm a huge player mobility guy.
For what we do, and as business professionals and as guys that have moved jobs,
yes,
I agree with you. I think for the fan, it's really hard. Like, look, I'm not saying it's hard to be a Laker fan, but it's got to be sort of hard to be a Laker fan, right? You forgot what everybody else told you about Kobe Bryant, and Kobe was your guy. LeBron was the enemy. Kobe was your guy.
Yeah.
Right? LeBron plays for the joy of his teammates and passes the ball, but the mama mentality of trying to do it yourself no matter who's around you, that's what you bought into. Yeah. And now LeBron's wearing your jersey? That just seems weird. That goes the opposite. So you're right in terms of empowering players in a player-driven league, but this is the AAUization of the NBA. That's all this is. This is what's been going on for the last 25 years in AAU basketball, which is you get mad at the team that you're with because they don't get you the good shoes, you're not in the good tournaments, or you're not playing with the best players, you don't like the coach, so you go somewhere else to where you can win the title, but it's not really the guys you kind of grew up with or the city that you grew up playing in. That's what it is in the NBA.
But don't you think when Favre went to the Vikings and when Peyton went to Denver, that had a little NBA feel to it? It was fascinating.
It was fascinating. And Brett Favre going in as a Minnesota Viking quarterback and winning in Green Bay was incredible.
It's one of the great stories in the last decade. By the way,
not one of the great stories. It's like diabolical. You can't go play for the Vikings when you're a Packer.
I loved it. See, here's the thing. Okay,
but that's one of the things that makes the NFL different and special and frankly better than the NBA is, look, I understand Peyton at the end of his career was a Bronco and that worked out. Yeah. And I know that Montana at the end of his career was a Chief, but guys are synonymous with one team. Aaron Rodgers is a Packer. Brett Favre is a Packer. I feel like the NBA, when you start switching jerseys all the time and you flip on, you're like, wait, he's where? It just feels weird.
One of the things I've always said in this business, you can't just read a sports page and do a talk show. You have to project and predict. You have to create sometimes your own headlines. It's fun. I think you owe the audience that. You do that, Doug, very well. I did a couple days ago. I said to the audience, Australians, because of proximity, see Los Angeles is where the stars go. It's where Russell Crowe. It's where Nicole Kidman. It's where Margot Robbie. It's where Hugh Jackman. LA is where stars. Now, London stars see New York is where you go, Broadway. Ben Simmons is an Australian kid. The first time he makes a little lettuce, he spends the summer in Los Angeles. He's repped by LeBron's people. He's dating Kendall Jenner. And once you experience LA and Beverly Hills, South Philly feels a little small. Ben Simmons, 2 years can move. Kawhi's giving him a roadmap. I don't think I'm being nuts. I believe people in Philadelphia today in that organization are at least saying, guys, we got to get on this. We got to make an offer. We got to sign this kid. There's at least concern in Philly that Ben Simmons is suddenly in love with a girl in Beverly Hills. He's an Aussie. Aussies end up in L.A. It's something, no?
It's something. I mean, I think that they have... that they're a little concerned that he's dating a Jenner? Yes. Tell me the athlete that's worked out for while it happened. Now, afterwards, James Harden an MVP afterwards. So maybe if it ends, then all of a sudden you'll see. But look, I don't think he's actually the best Sixer. I love Ben Simmons. Embiid's the more transcendent talent. The fear with Embiid is injury, right? Nobody knows if his body's going to hold up.
Right.
My fear with Ben Simmons is he's got a little taste of L.A. He's got a little taste of the good life. And he needs massive, massive work on his game in a gym. It's to the point we've had this discussion where NBA people continue to discuss, shouldn't he shoot right-handed, right? When you're in your 20s and people are thinking you should switch which hand you shoot jump shots with, that says something about the current state of your jump shot. So, look, no one to this point has held a gun to the head of their current team after their rookie deal and made them move them this soon.
This is true, but the world is a changing in this league.
I agree. I do think that LeBron and Kawhi are test cases for it. Right now, Paul George, if the test case was, hey, he's a year out, he said he wanted to be in L.A., he didn't end up in L.A. Let's see what happens with Kawhi Leonard. A year out, he wants to be in L.A., he's still got a year under contract. Let's see if he ends there. So for those type of players, right now, those are the test cases. For LeBron, this is end of his career, as you stated, mogul stage. Let's see if LeBron can raise all the ships. A rising tide can raise all the ships of the Lakers, can take them from a 35-win team to a 50-some-odd win team, and maybe win the MVP. He's the favorite to win the MVP. But for Ben Simmons, I think that the reason Rich Paul mentioned Ben Simmons and mentioned the Sixers
20 left
was because he represents Ben Simmons.
Okay.
That's really, do I think ultimately he could end up in L.A.? Sure. I think that's a possibility. I think he's got to work on his game. They need to surround him with talent.
All right, coming up next, great stuff. Doug Gottlieb, the Doug, or his show After Mine on Fox Sports Radio. We go to the NFC East, make our predictions, toughest division in football, most interesting division in football, next. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio's Fox Sports Radio and FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me as always. Joy, how are you today? We both like Jurassic Park. Go watch it with your kids. It's outstanding.
I'm confused about the ratings. People are very upset about our review of Jurassic Park, too.
Yeah, loved it.
What were they expecting? Citizen Kane?
Goodfellas?
I don't understand.
Cool
it's a movie
dinosaurs.
about dinosaurs that were created from mosquito blood in a fossil.
Yeah, and they ate evil characters. It was in Jeff Goldblum's Zany.
Stop taking yourself so seriously.
Let's book Jeff Goldblum Monday, 9:30 guest. I love Jeff Goldblum. There's a simmering weirdness to him I love.
That is a great description of him.
Simmering weirdness.
Yes.
I love that guy as an actor. All right, we've been doing it every day at this time. And we're going to do it all next week as well, Monday through Thursday. We're going to pick a division, lay it out, and make our predictions. I am allowed a little alteration due to injuries in the preseason. We started with the NFC North. I like the Packers over the Vikings. Viking fans freaked out, but I think Green Bay has a chance to win the Super Bowl. I still think Minnesota is going to be a playoff team. I did the AFC North, and it's pretty predictable. Steelers will be my number one seed in the AFC. I think Cleveland is the most improved team in the league. Watch out for Baltimore. Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson. You're going to have a controversy there, I think, by about Thanksgiving. The Bengals need a reboot. Yesterday I did the AFC East, where I think New England wins but pulls back, is not a number one seed, has to go on the road in the playoffs. I think it's kind of a Jets-Dolphins. Jets have a significantly better schedule than the Dolphins. That's why I have them ahead. It's not because Sam Darnold's going to wreck the league as a rookie. He's not. He'll be spotty, turn the ball over. But the Jets schedule, all the tough games at home. Dolphins schedule, all the tough games on the road. Buffalo doesn't have a quarterback. They're a mess. So today we go, to me, the most compelling, probably the best, arguably the best division in football, the NFC East. Let's start with Philadelphia. They'll win it. I'll give all the records at the end. But I do think they pull back a little from 13 wins. First of all, the NFC East is stronger than it's been in years. Ezekiel Elliott's not missing a bunch of games. And the Giants are significantly improved. And Washington upgraded at quarterback. They also lost Frank Reich, an outstanding offensive coordinator. Didn't Atlanta pull back when Kyle Shanahan left? Didn't Washington pull back when Sean McVay left? Frank Reich's good. He left. It'll matter. The defensive line is still the strength of this team. It's excellent and got better with Michael Bennett coming over from Seattle. They also get Jordan Hicks, the linebacker, back. He is excellent. The offensive line's probably second, third, fourth best in the league. Some think it's first. Lane Johnson can stay clean. I love their offensive line. Wide receiving core is so-so. Not bad. It's a solid unit. They do get a draft pick from a couple of years ago. Cornerback Sidney Jones is healthy and back. He is a special player. So this is a very good football team that I think wins the division. Next up, Dallas will finish in second place. Hey, listen, they got some issues. Number one is David Irving. Their excellent pass rushers out for a month. And I really, really like their young pass rushers. Taco Charlton's a gamer. DeMarcus Lawrence is outstanding. Great offensive line. Tremendous running back. And I like Jason Garrett. The two big issues for me is they're not dynamic on the outside offensively. They don't have anybody. In fact, they weren't last year with Des Bryant. they need to be a little more dynamic on the perimeter. And when's the last time you trusted their secondary? Also, their first 8-week schedule is pretty rough. First month, they got to go on the road. Seattle, at Carolina, at Houston. I don't love their schedule early. I don't love it a ton in the first 8 weeks until they get that bye in late October. I think they finish second. Third place to the New York Giants, I think, along with Cleveland, will be the most improved team in the league. They have upgraded at key positions. Left tackle, head coach, running back. And I've said this about their defense. They have stars in every unit. Snacks Harrison on the defensive line. Olivier Vernon as a pass rusher. Alec Ogletree is a B-plus linebacker. Janoris Jenkins is a star, top 3 corner in the league. Landon Collins is a beast at safety. They got real players in every unit. Okay, real players. They've upgraded Pat Shurmur, turned Case Keenum into a 13-game winner. Turned Case Keenum into a guy people thought about MVP, Case Keenum. So Eli Manning, though, is still Eli Manning. In the last 4 years, he has been a C, at times a C-minus quarterback. It's a really good division. I think they'll be way better. How much better, we'll see. And in last place, this is a very confusing team to me. They got stars. Washington's got a star corner in Josh Norman, star pass rusher in Ryan Kerrigan, a star tight end in Jordan Reed. Their offensive line's got beasts. Trent Williams is a perennial All-Pro. Brandon Sheriff is tremendous. They were all banged up last year. But here's the thing about Washington. You got a new quarterback, so that's going to take a while. And Sean McVay left this franchise, and they've never been the same offensively. They're still good, but they give you about 80 yards less per game, 3-4 points less a game, and that matters in this division. Those 80 yards and those 3.5 points matter in this division. They wouldn't matter in all divisions. They matter when you're facing Carson Wentz and the Cowboys' offensive line. Here are my predictions for the NFC East. Philly pulls back, but still wins it at 11-5. Dallas, like a Minnesota, is a playoff team to the end. Just matters how the cards fall. New York's better. Still not good enough in that division to be a playoff team. And Washington, again, in some divisions they'd be 9-7, 8-8. Not in this one, and not in the NFC. Well, a big story this week, and it's controversial, and we have the perfect guest for it. We have a Hall of Fame football player coming on. T.O. will not show up to the festivities, the events this weekend in Canton, Ohio. No show. Eric Dickerson's a Hall of Famer. He has been for 19 years. He joins us now on a Friday, hour number 2 in the herd. And I am told, Eric Dickerson, you spoke with T.O. about him snubbing the Hall of Fame. And
yes.
How did that go?
It went very well, but I got to say this first. You ever heard of somebody running from you? You know, people who run from you, run away from stuff?
Yeah.
You know,
did I say your name?
It's ridiculously unfair. All right, and just for the record, I knew you were going to do this, so I'm preprepared. I'm saving. I owe Eric a very expensive dinner. We made a bet on the Super Bowl. He picked the Eagles. I wildly thought that the Patriots would win another Super Bowl in a very edgy pick, and I haven't paid up yet.
And I can't get paid.
But I'm going to. I'm a woman of my word. Okay, but I'm probably going to push it off to the next Super Bowl so I can do double or nothing.
I have no choice. I got to take the bet no matter. I have no choice to take the bet.
By the way, Eric Dickerson doesn't eat much, as Eric Dickerson will tell you. You don't, actually.
No, I don't.
All right, you spoke to T.O. How'd it go?
I talked to T.O. I talked to T.O. last week. I'm going to start off by saying this. First of all, I like T.O. T.O. is a good guy. He really is. And I expressed to him, I asked him, one question. I said, don't lie to me. I said, if you got in first ballot, would you win? He said, yeah. I said, okay, so T.O., who cares? That's not about that. I mean, it's really because we as players, we knew he should have been in the Hall of Fame. We did. And I know he's trying to make his point. But to T.O.'s defense, this is a problem that was started by the writers. The T.O. should have been in the Hall of Fame when he first came up.
Sure.
Just to show you how biased they can be. When my turn came up to go in, a writer told me, Eric, I'm not going to say who, but a guy would not vote for you just because you guess what? I said, why? Because you held out. He said, I couldn't vote for somebody who held out. Now, what does that got to do with football?
Nothing.
And
by the way, a lot of times athletes hold out, and I've got their back.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald needs more money.
Oh, for sure. So T.O., going back to T.O., he's very adamant about he wants to make change. We're trying to make a change. I'm like, I said, it's not the Hall of Fame's fault. It's not David Baker's fault. It's not the players in the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Fame fault. We don't make the votes. I wish he would go because I really believe, and I told him this too. I said, T.O., I may be dead and gone. I said, but I believe when you're 70 years old, you'll look back, maybe even sooner, and say, man, I wish I would have went.
You kind of childish.
I kind of wish I'd have went. But, no matter what, I still stick by him. I support him. He's in the Hall of Fame, well deserving of it. Should have been in first time. And, he's a grown man.
Okay, Jason Whitlock on Speak for Yourself. I was on a couple days ago. He made this point about T.O., and I want you to react to this. Here's Jason Whitlock.
These voters made a mistake putting Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame. He's not worthy because of exactly what we're seeing here. He was a bad teammate, and he's being a bad teammate now to Randy Moss, Ray Lewis. He's taking attention away from them and placing it singularly on him. T.O.'s on brand. I don't mind the Hall of Fame saying, you know what, you don't want us, we don't want you either.
What do you make of that?
I feel like that T.O. deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he deserves it. I can say that. I can't say that enough. I mean, once again, and T.O.'s giving them this, giving Jason to say that, just what he just said. See, this is why right here. But that's not why. That's really not why. No matter, like I said before, if you don't like him, you don't agree with him, he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame player. I mean, it's no doubt he was a Hall of Fame player.
I agree with you, and I think the Hall of Fame is being petty as an institution, not mentioning him this weekend. I think they should write a letter and say, T.O. is a Hall of Famer. We're having an event this week, and we're greatly disappointed he won't be part of it, but he is always welcome with his family to attend. Drop the mic, put the pen down. It's good. I don't love players being needy and petty. I don't love it. But it's inexcusable for institutions to be petty. Our government can't be petty. IBM shouldn't be petty. Humans are capable of juvenile and immature actions in the moment. I think, I've said about T.O. before, Eric, he's two things I don't like about people. He's needy. He needs constant affirmation. I'm not into needy people. I don't have needy friends. I should note, you're one of the least needy stars I've ever met. You've lived in the same home forever. You don't even eat. When you come into the building,
you're lucky,
when you come into the building, you can't. You make no noise. You're the opposite of what you were as a football player. I can't find you. You slither in the corner and hide. In football, you popped off the TV screen. But I don't like needy people, and he's always a victim. T.O.'s always a victim. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't. So T.O. and I brought him on the couch, and I told him this. I said, dude, you're too needy for me. But I will say this. Hall of Fames, Marlon Brando didn't show up to the Oscars. I could list 30 rock and rollers who have been petulant and didn't show up to the Hall of Fame. Some football players are divas. Doesn't mean they're not great. T.O.'s one of the 5 best receivers I've ever seen. He's great. He's just a diva.
Exactly. Well, I ain't going to say he's a diva. He like you said, he's emotional. I'll say that.
Okay, so you use emotional.
And one thing about T.O. has that mentality, kind of like I used to have too, and sometimes I still do. Oh, you did that to me? You ain't got to worry. I ain't gonna never talk to you again.
You're a grudge holder.
A grudge holder. I mean, he's holding a grudge. I mean, he really is holding a grudge. And to his defense, he has that right to. He really does, because I know they did him so wrong, but he's not the only one. That's the thing.
Well, that's
I told
my
him that.
issue with it. I don't have a problem with him not going. I don't have a problem with him not being there. That's his right completely. But to take it to this level and act as if he's been wronged, it's almost, to me, it comes across as a bit of slap in the face to someone like Shannon Sharp or Chris Carter, any guy who's had to wait. Are you better than them? Because that is really what you're saying, that they should have reacted in the same way when instead of being angry about it, they were relieved and grateful for the opportunity.
Well, some guys did act. They didn't go this far. I'll say one player, I won't say who, wrote the Hall of Fame a letter and said, don't even put me in. Don't ever put me in. Well, he went in the next year. And he went.
Who was that?
I won't say.
Well, how come?
Because I'm not going to say.
I'll buy you a $400 dinner if you say right now.
Will you buy my dinner? I'll say.
I have no choice.
No, I can't do that. I can't do that to the player. But most definitely, I mean, so it's been instances where guys have made comments because they're hurt behind it. They were not talking about the players, but about they put their anger on the hall, and it's not the hall. It's the writers. So I say go back to the writers. It really is. It's all about the writers. I mean,
no, I've never loved the idea. If you look at the Grammys, it's voted on by musicians, writers, producers, directors. There's a labyrinth of people involved. In the Football Hall of Fame, I don't mind having 6 writers. I'd like 20 football players.
There you go.
9 GMs, former Hall of Famers. And I'm not anti-media. I do think the media often really takes time and they're responsible. But we've seen this from the Heisman. It becomes very regional, very parochial. The Southern writer votes for the Southern kid, and the Western writer votes for the Pac-12 kid. And I think the Hall of Fame voting in football screwed up. Okay, here's my NFC East predictions. I think this is the hardest division in football to kind of get my arms around. I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning it, but pulling back a little because they lost Frank Reich, and I think it's hard to go to the Super Bowl win and not have an extra cocktail at night. So I think they pull back just a tad. I think the NFC's really, really good. The division's good. I think Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott's going to play closer to 16 games. I think they've got some tremendous young edge rushers. Dak's going to get better in his 3rd year. Giants have made major, major upgrades. Left tackle, running back, OBJ's back, head coach. That's how I see the NFC East. Right, wrong, indifferent. Where do you go?
The Eagles I like as the favorite for sure. The Cowboys, that's my problem team right there.
What do you mean?
I really believe that they're one-dimensional now. I mean, they have a quarterback. They don't have any receivers, no tight end. Who are you going to throw the ball to? If I'm defense, and you saw this when Zeke came back last year, after his first season, 21 ain't going to beat us. We'll let Dak beat us. Receiver, you're not going to beat us. Well, they don't have any receivers. They don't have, that's right, Jason, they don't have them either. Out of the tight ends they do have, out of the 4 they do have, they caught 94 passes out of 4 guys. So if you don't have anyone but Zeke, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going to stack the line of scrimmage till you show me that you can throw this football and your receivers can get open. I think that's what I think. And I like Jason Garrett. I like him. But you have to start taking a look at the head coach there. They've had enough weapons and enough time to be in the playoff multiple times and also be in a Super Bowl.
Good stuff today. You brought it.
Did I bring it on that?
You brought your A game today.
Right,
I thought you were very exceptional today.
Thank you. Did you believe me?
Well, yeah.
That's all I want.
Did I believe you? Yes, of course I did. For Hall of Fame football player, I sort of believe you. Eric Dickerson. Coming up next, LeBron's agent finally talks about why he chose the Lakers. Interesting stuff. That's right around the corner.
Sunday on Fox, Pogba and Mbappe take on Luka Modric and Croatia in the FIFA World Cup final. Coverage begins Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern or stream it live on the Fox Sports app.
Sports fans, sunshine, temps are rising, summer's here. Grab your friends, blast some tunes, ignite those coals. Weather like this waits for nobody. Kingsford Charcoal, start something. Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, has finally spoken. I'm going to show you 2 quotes, read you 2 quotes. We haven't heard from LeBron yet. Here's the first quote from Rich Paul, who talked yesterday about LeBron's move to the Lakers. He said, to be clear, nobody really knew what we were doing or what we were not going to do. When he went to Miami, it was about winning a championship. When he came home, it was about delivering a promise. This one really had no footing. This is what we said this move was. LeBron has moved into the mogul stage. The mogul stage has 3 stages. Number 1 is show everybody your talent. Number 2 is validation, win a Grammy, win an Oscar, win some trophies. And the 3rd stage for legends in America, Jay-Z, Beyonce, LeBron, is the mogul stage, where your net worth, your businesses outside of basketball, and your personal happiness are at least 50% of the equation. You still love your sport, you still love your music, but you've shown everybody your talent. It's been validated by winning awards. Now it's also about things beyond basketball, like personal happiness, where do you live, where do your kids grow up, and so forth. He had a second quote, and I think this one is really interesting. He said in regards to the teams, he said, well, the teams that LeBron looked at, he looked at for guys like Ben Simmons. There's a reason why he looked at Philadelphia. Ben Simmons. Now, you could be cynical and say, well, they represent Ben Simmons. Get to that in a second. But Ben Simmons is the future talking point of this league. He is the closest thing to magic. I'd say he's more magic than LeBron than I've ever seen. A 6'10" point, uniquely gifted physically, unbelievable vision, can finish at the rim like Magic. He'll get a jumper, but in the end, Magic never had a great one either. Karl Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler, all these young players everybody likes. I know what you're telling me. This young player, that young player. No. Giannis, no. Jason Tatum, no. They're great players. Ben Simmons is special, and LeBron's people get it. And I'll throw this out there as well. The three real stars of my life in this league have been Magic, Jordan, and LeBron. Now, Kobe and Shaq are amazing, but the three that were kind of transcendent are Magic. Magic brought the NBA back to popularity. Michael Jordan made it global with his shoe deal. LeBron is the player empowerment guy. He made the players own the league. They're now going to be billionaires. They now dictate terms. LeBron has moved 3 times. His people represent Ben Simmons. Think Ben's going to stick around Philly for 18 years? I'll say it again. First time he got attention, made some money, Ben Simmons has spent the summer in Los Angeles dating Kendall Jenner. This is nothing against Philadelphia, but folks, you spend a summer in Beverly Hills, South Philly feels small. Ben Simmons is large for his position. Dating a Jenner, TMZ, Rookie of the Year, only getting better. Those 2 quotes are interesting. They proved the mogul stage, and they proved Ben Simmons is this league's future. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
So, after spending his rookie season stuck behind Mike Glennon on the depth chart and in John Fox's bland offense, second-year Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky has finally been freed. Just asked Bears guard Kyle Long. Long told the Chicago Sun-Times, "My little boy is becoming a man. They've taken the training wheels off Mitch's little bike. So he's going to be able to do some things creatively to get to showcase his skills a little bit more in an open range. We are excited to see him." Yeah. This makes me crazy. I am very against drafting quarterbacks high in the first round and then sitting them behind someone like Mike Glennon. No offense to Mike Glennon, but this is not a Brett Favre situation or Tom Brady where you're learning from one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game.
Yeah.
I don't believe you get better at something by watching someone else do something. If that was the case, I would be an incredible chef. I watch chef shows all the time. Right. I would know how to build a house. It's not that simple. You have to actually go out there and do it. And when it comes to being a quarterback, if you are drafting a quarterback that high in the draft, they have to be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly agree with that, although I do think the problem in the NFL is quarterback has become so valuable. The rules now are all offense that they're all being overdrafted now. So if you don't have one like Buffalo, you just have to get one. And sometimes, like Josh Allen, he ain't ready to play. I mean, he's not ready to play. So what do you do where you have to get the position filled because you have A.J. McCarron? The position gets overdrafted because you have to have a quarterback. You can't face Sam Darnold for the next 15 years and have nobody, and Tom Brady for the next 2 or 3 and have nobody. So I generally think you should play quarterbacks, but some of these guys are massively over. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a project. He's not really a first-round quarterback. He could develop over time.
But he was also picked very late in the first round. So I think what Kyle Long is mostly referring to is the style of play that Mitchell's going to be able to exercise this season. But I just feel like you have to go out there and make mistakes. If it is a quarterback like that that's not truly ready to just go out there and perform, then have the expectations be, hey, he's not going to be that. You know, but like it's just like the idea in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield not starting. You picked him number 1 overall. Number 1. I understand you want to keep your job and Tyrod Taylor is reliable, but when are you going to start letting him learn?
Yeah, well, was Baker Mayfield the best college football player? I would argue he was a 2-time walk-on, but again, he falls into he got overdrafted. Sam Darnold's the only quarterback to me that didn't get overdrafted. Even Josh Allen at UCLA didn't have a great career, got banged up. I think the league changed their rules years ago to take violence out and let offense dominate defense. The downside to it is the league is now so quarterback dominant these teams get trapped. They're like Buffalo. Josh Allen's not one of the top 30 players in college football last year.
But you need the position.
You got to fill the spot.
So in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. No one understands that better than Jaylen Brown. After LeBron signed with the Lakers, the Eastern Conference is supposedly wide open, but speaking to reporters, Brown explained that he hoped the Celtics would end LeBron's reign in the East rather than see him leave and make the conference less competitive. Let's take a listen.
To be honest, I wanted him to stay. I was kind of mad. I wanted to be the team to go through him. You know what I mean? I felt like we could have had it last year, but we fell a little bit short. I wanted him to stay in the East so we could. People say, I don't like when people say, now that LeBron's gone, y'all are the favorite. That irks me. You know what I mean? And a lot of us, we feel the same because we feel like, whether he was there or if he wasn't there, we was coming out.
I really like this Celtics team. While I did not believe anything that Danny Ainge said about it, I do believe Jaylen Brown because I feel like you have to have that competitive feeling where you aren't afraid of someone like LeBron James.
Yeah, I
feel like the Raptors are afraid of LeBron James.
Yeah, if LeBron stayed in the East, he would not beat Boston next year. And I strongly believe. I think Boston's going to win the championship next year. I think they're good enough to beat Golden State. LeBron and Cleveland aren't close to even competing with Golden State outside of an occasional game. So I think LeBron saw that. Like, if I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose in L.A. and build with these young guys than stay in Cleveland and get beat not only in the finals,
right.
I can't get to the finals. Boston next year there's going to be two great teams in the NBA, Golden State, Boston. Then there's just a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff with warts, and the Lakers are one of those.
Finally, no major American professional sport has an older fan base than baseball.
Yeah.
And the marketing team for the Montgomery Biscuits, that's the Tampa Bay Rays AA affiliate,
all right.
Missed that memo. I do love minor league baseball promotions and love going to minor league baseball games, actually. They're very nice. They're very intimate. They usually have great food. It's a nice little night. But I don't know how many people are going to be attending this night. On Wednesday, the team announced its upcoming Millennial Night promotion, which would include participation ribbons, napping stations, selfie stations, and plenty of avocados. Obviously, someone who thought they were just hysterical came up with this idea.
You're a millennial, aren't you?
I think I am, yes. I think I'm considered a millennial.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Yeah, I think you're a millennial.
But I'm closer to the old school edge of the millennials. Like, I don't believe in participation trophies at all.
I don't see you
I
as
very much believe in napping, but that's mostly due to my schedule.
You got a hard edge to you, I like.
Well, yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh. We don't like. The first time I had an avocado was when I went to Florida. Like, it's a little different around there. It's a little tougher. But this is clearly somebody much older who was like, Millennial Night would be hysterical. Like, here's all the things that millennials do. I don't know how that works. What's the shirt say? They usually give out T-shirts, right?
Yeah, I kind of like millennials.
You kind of like millennials?
There's a lot of stuff I do like about them.
Well,
they're not like going to stay at a company for 40 years to get a gold watch. I think they tend to work together really well. I think they embrace technology. I think they're real smarter than I was at their age. There's a lot I like about millennials. I will say this: their mom and dad have told them how amazing they are. So I want to, I'd rather punch about half right in the forehead. They need to toughen up, but I mostly like millennials.
You know what's funny is every generation, the generation before them, says the exact same thing about the younger generation. They don't work as hard. Remember that time when I had to walk to school with no shoes on, back uphill and downhill, both ways in the snow? And it snows in northern Florida, so that's. And then there were rocks falling and coyotes.
I'm not that guy. I like 90% of millennials. I'm into. They embrace technology. They work together. They're global travelers. They're global citizens. I've got kind of a millennial daughter here, and but they can be a little whiny about. I can't believe I didn't get my avocado toast.
There's a new generation now. It's like Generation X though. Like high school and lower is a different generation than millennials.
All right, Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Interesting. Kawhi Leonard trade rumors going to the Raptors. DeMar DeRozan wipes his Instagram clean, fuels Kawhi Leonard trade speculation to Toronto. This seems like Toronto would be kind of desperate, right? Kawhi Leonard not happy in San Antonio, going to be happy in Canada. San Diego kid. I don't really buy it. Doug Gottlieb does, but you laughed at me when I introduced the LeBron's-o-meter. People mocked this show. It hurt my feelings. You made fun of me when I talked about the LeBron's O-meter. We introduced it a year ago. Well. It was right. So we're going to introduce a new thing with Kawhi Leonard. Here we go.
Now it's time to check in on Kawhi Pie.
We're introducing...
that sounds delicious.
The Kawhi Pie. Okay, we had the LeBron's O-meter. Here's the Kawhi Pie. Here's where I believe he'll go. The Kawhi Pie is split into thirds. 60% Lakers. He said that. The Clippers have a real shot here. 30%. And I do think Greg Popovich wouldn't mind moving him to Philadelphia with his friend Brett Brown. The question, can you convince the new GM to give up somebody to get Kawhi Leonard? You got to give up Markelle Fultz. You got to give up 2 draft picks. You got your 2 stars in Simmons and Embiid. Don't be stubborn in Philadelphia because you're not getting past Boston without another guy on the wing. So we introduced the Kawhi Pie. You laughed at me with the LeBron's O-meter, and we were right. Coming up, Caron Butler's got some thoughts. Daryl Morey, Houston Rockets GM. What happened to his forwards? They're all gone. He's going to be joining us. Smart dude. Car shopping's confusing. A lot of terms. Dealer price, list price, invoice. True Car shows you new or used. Transparency, fees, accessories, what you pay for all of it. TrueCar.com, new or used. Daryl Morey, Rocket GM, smart guy. What happened to all their forwards? Are they going to sign Carmelo? That's going to be happening here in a couple of minutes. Remember TJ Hushmanzada was on the show earlier this week. It could have been Monday. He was on the last hour of our show, and he talked about playing with the Bengals and how dysfunctional it was. I want to play this tape for you.
We didn't even have water or Gatorade in the locker room before Marvin got there. And so he got there. We got water and Gatorade. We're like, oh, man. And so just little stuff like that, that's very minor.
Did you bring your own water to practice?
When we would have lunch in the cafeteria, they had water in there, but after lunch, they locked it. And so leading up to practice, it was like you just wait till you go outside.
If you're not giving players water and Gatorade, what were they giving you? Tea? Well, I mean, I'm hot. It's 80 out.
No, you could get water. You would just go to the fountain. The year before I got there, Willie Anderson was telling me they didn't even have jock straps. They would get a bunch of used jock straps, throw them in the middle of the locker room and say, here you go. So
Oh, God. Okay, with that, I bring on Caron Butler, who played for multiple teams in the NBA.
What up?
And I'm told has a couple of stories on his own. That was the most fascinating bite. So you bounced around this league. Was there an organization where there was dysfunction?
Absolutely. You know, I played with so many teams you touched on. I played on 9 NBA teams.
9 NBA teams?
Yes.
I want to hear about, okay, give me the dysfunction. We'll start with the dysfunction.
A lot of it comes with preparation, right? So you immediately when you go into a locker room, you see the expectations or if it's a championship pedigree organization. And I played with organizations like I started with the Miami Heat. So the godfather of the game, Pat Riley.
Classy,
everything professional on, off the court, preparation, meal prep.
Meal prep?
Yeah, everything. You know, talking about having a shelf in the locker room, talking about what you put in your body, protecting your temple, so you could have a longevity in the space.
Certainly.
So that was important. And then I go to the Los Angeles Lakers, which is the same thing because they're the cream of the crop. You know, it's all about championships. And when I go to Washington, it scaled down a little bit.
Sure.
But you bring that culture of what you had in Miami and the Lakers to Washington.
But Washington hasn't had a history of winning, so it wasn't quite Pat Riley or the Lakers.
Yeah, it wasn't that, but they was willing to adjust, like having the proper family room for your family to have the great environment because, you know, happy wife, happy life, happy family is easy. It's less pressure on you. So buying into that culture and trying to enhance the athlete.
There you go.
You know, so you can win out there so you're just not worrying about the other things. So that was huge.
And then there were the Clippers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
That was different. So so they was the JV team of Los Angeles. They've been like that for years, and it's probably going to go back to that now with LeBron going to play for the Lakers. So they would practice or have their locker room and all their stuff at LA Fitness. They didn't have their own facility. And at some point, they ended up putting the facility up in Culver City. That was the second time around with myself, Chris Paul, Lob City, all that stuff created. But before, they didn't have that. So the culture for the Clippers wasn't a winning culture for years, you know. And I think the most success that they had, you take Chris Paul's success out of it in his era and Blake Griffin, is when Elton Brand and Corey Maggette and those guys were together. And I think that was the first round in the playoff exit.
L.A. Fitness at a gym?
True story.
Jesus.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a little. Let me ask you about Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, yeah.
Kawhi Leonard is doing something I really like. Now, fans in San Antonio are ticked. But if he's successful, it's going to change this league. He comes out with a year left and says, I will play for the Lakers. By making it public through his people, what general manager is going to give away anything to rent him for a year? I'm not giving up elite players and draft picks knowing he's kind of a different cat to begin with, and he wants to be a Laker. I believe this is a player empowerment move by Kawhi and his people that's very cunning, very smart. And if it works, the guys like Ben Simmons in 2 years, I'm going to be a blank. If you make it public, who's going to trade for him? Where do you think he ends up?
In a situation where, look, he might just end up in a rental situation. There's a lot of dumb front office people out there. I hate to say it, but it's a lot of people out there that
don't know what they're doing.
That do not know what they're doing. They're trying to move the needle from an analytical standpoint, and that's not the wave. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You know, you have to have a pulse of what the talent is and what the NBA is, and can you sell someone on wanting to stay with an organization? And you saw that with the DeMarcus Cousins case. Everybody's going like, oh, how did DeMarcus go to the Warriors? Nobody made him an offer. No one wanted to invest in what they perceived as damaged goods. Just like the Isaiah Thomas situation. Now, if he comes back healthy, Denver, Tim Conley, those guys, they look like geniuses.
Right.
But right now, nobody want to invest in the situation. So Kawhi is going to land on his feet no matter what he does. If I'm him, if he want to be a Laker, put it out there.
By the way, I was saying earlier today, happiness is based on expectations. If you'd have told me 16 years in, LeBron would still be the best player in the game, have 3 titles with 2 teams and moving to the Lakers, I would have bought that 16, 17 years ago. Just the over-unders on wins have come out. How do you think the team is? Just give me basketball talk. How will the Lakers be with him in year 1? I'm not talking year 4. This group right now, currently.
They're going to be better. I bumped into Kyle Kuzma coming back from Vegas.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's so dialed in to this season. And I think he's going to be the player, I hope he be the player that benefits the most from LeBron arriving to Los Angeles because he could catch and shoot. He's self-motivated. And with a guy like LeBron in that locker room, he's going to be a better version of himself going forward. Young, athletic, two-way player. But Brandon Ingram, they're going to be better. They're going to be a playoff team immediately. They're a playoff team. They're a plus 15 win team. LeBron is the favorite to receive the MVP next season because he's going to be the headline in the story all season long. He get them to the playoffs, 5-6 seed, haven't been a void for like the last 5 years since the Dwight Howard and the Kobe Bryant Achilles injury. So they go to the playoffs. He's the MVP.
Here's the over-unders by sportsbook.ag. I don't think the Warriors win 66. I think they rest starters. It's closer to 60. I think the Celtics do want home court advantage in the finals. I think they'll get closer to 60-65. Rockets, Sixers, about where they'll be. I'd go under on the Lakers. I do think, never forget the first 17 games in Miami with D-Wade and Bosh. They were 7-9. They were ugly for the first month and a half in Cleveland with Kyrie and LeBron. I'd take the under on 50.5 wins for the Lakers. 47, 48. What do you think?
The only thing is, I would say 48-52, but who's the other future Hall of Famer on the team? Because with Miami, with LeBron James and with
veterans.
D-Wade, yeah, you got veteran guys, but all they care about is winning. They want to preserve their career. And how do you preserve your career? Make LeBron happy. If you make LeBron happy, you're a pleasure to play with. He can move the needle where you're going to have longevity in this space. Another 2-3 years added onto your career probably when you should be sitting on the couch doing what I'm doing with you right now.
Yeah.
So he can make that happen. So if you're in that situation, you don't have the master egos that you have to deal with. Rondo's a better version of himself, high IQ player, and all the other guys are young guys. You know, they're just happy to be playing alongside LeBron, so you don't have to deal with all those egos, future Hall of Famers, things like that. Guys just ready to play, fill their role, and maximize their potential.
Caron, Butler, good stuff. Yeah, put the over-unders up there. I kind of pretty much buy all of them. I actually think the Lakers are a little high and the Celtics are a little low. I do think Boston says, I would love to open the series and close it against the Warriors in Boston. Caron, Butler, Hour 3, Daryl, Morey around the corner. Don't go anywhere. This in L.A. with Joy Taylor is The Herd. This is The Herd. Hour number 3, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. In 10 minutes, one of my favorite people, guy went to MIT, smart. Daryl Morey, Rockets GM, beloved by everybody. But what happened? He lost all his forwards. Is Carmelo going there? Why'd they pay Chris Paul the max? Joy Taylor is joining me for hour number 3. Been a very lively show today.
Very fun, yes.
Very, very lively show. So Daryl Morey's coming up in 15 minutes. Last night there was nothing, what I would say, urgent last night in sports. The World Cup final, France-Croatia, Fox on Sunday. So let me start with this. So I went and watched a movie yesterday. It's that new Jurassic movie with my son. And I told my son going in, I'm like, Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 51. That's a terrible number. That's a terrible rating. The critics didn't like it at all. And so I told my son, it's not going to be very good. Probably won't be very good, but, you know, he wanted to go watch it. He's my son. And, you know, it's a summer. It's hot out. And I'm like, we just watched a couple movies this week. And I'm like, all right, let's go watch the movie. And like 10 minutes into the movie, I turn to my son. I'm like, that's pretty good. He's like, yeah. And then an hour into the movie, I turn to my son. I'm like, this is pretty good. My son's like, yes, this is good. And then about an hour and a half into the movie, it was wrapping up. And I'm like, this was awesome. And my son was like, yeah, this movie was great. And then as I drove home, I texted a friend. He's a smart, successful guy, and he's got 3 boys. He goes, yeah, I loved it. So did my 3 boys. And I texted another friend. He goes, I didn't take my son. I went. I loved it. And then I asked Joy Taylor this morning, did you watch that Jurassic movie?
We went and saw it, and we loved it also.
Yeah. Critics panned it. It's made $1 billion. Go watch it. But the reason I love the movie is because it delivered on exactly what I thought I would get. I was not seeking a love story, international espionage. I wanted cool dinosaurs. I wanted Chris Pratt. I wanted crazy Jeff Goldblum. I got a mansion, a bunch of dinosaurs, evil characters, a new dinosaur eating people. That's exactly what I wanted. It delivered on expectations. I got exactly what I wanted. The bidding war on the new dinosaur stuff is awesome.
Spoiler alert, but I think people figure it out.
It's made $1 billion already. I figure most of the world's already seen it, okay?
I've seen the
Didn't
movie.
come out yesterday. It's made $1 billion. Bottom line is, it delivered on what I was hoping I would get. Crazy Jeff Goldblum. My son, I think he's one of my favorite actors. My son loves Chris Pratt. My son loves Robert Downey and Chris Pratt. Those are the actors he likes, and he got that. And then we got dinosaurs and a new one and a cool one and a plot that was real easy to follow and a mansion and a castle and evil guys and dinosaurs eating them. Anywho, it made me think of LeBron. What? Huh? Let me ask you. Critics have been panning LeBron for years. Didn't do this, not 6 for 6, can't do this, should have done that. If I would have said 17 years ago, because he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I didn't know much about him, at 16 years old. If I'd have said that day, okay, 17 years from now, here's what this kid's going to be. And I said, first of all, his first game as a teenager, 25, 9, 6, and 4 steals. It will be an all-star line. His first game. Kobe didn't play for 2 years. His first game will be an all-star level performance. Oh, that is awesome. I'll take that. The second thing I'd say, okay, also, he's going to take at the time the worst team to ever get to the NBA championship. There's never going to be a roster this bad at this point in the NBA. He's going to take it by himself mostly in 2007 to the finals. He's going to be that good? What? I mean, Dr. J couldn't take a bad roster. What? I mean, Magic Johnson got Kareem right out of the gate. He couldn't take a bad. What? No. This kid he'll take the worst roster at this point in the NBA to the finals. Oh, I'm not done. He's going to go team up with Pat Riley and win 2 titles. And he's going to go back to the team he left in Cleveland, a city that can't win anything. And he's going to win a title there. You'd be like, woo-wee. I'm done. Oh, no. I'm not stopping there. No. Then he will be on track to be the greatest statistical player in the history of the game. If you combine all the stats that matter, he'll be first, second, or third in all of them. You mean like Wilt, Magic? No, God, he'll blow him away in almost everything. Okay. I'm. You got me. Okay, I'll take all this. Okay. Oh, I'm not finished. In year 16, he'll go to the Lakers, and here's the crazy thing. He's still easily the best player in the league. Oh, come on, you're making crap up now. Michael Jordan by 36 wasn't he? Come on, Magic at 32. No. He'll be the best player in the league easily. You'd be like, all right, satisfied. And all I hear are critics. Everybody I know that's smart liked Jurassic Park because it delivered on everything you wanted to see. If you'd have gone back to when LeBron was on the cover of SI and said his first game will be the greatest first game ever by a teenager, he'll take the worst starting 5 at the time ever to the finals. He'll go back and team up Pat Riley back to his hometown that never win. He'll be on track to be the greatest player statistically we've ever seen, and frankly, shrinking legends like Jerry West, Larry Bird, Magic. And in his 16th year, he will easily be the most fascinating, durable machine, part man, part machine we've ever seen. And he's going to go to the Lakers. How much fun is that going to be? And Magic and Kobe, by the way, are going to totally embrace it and be on board with it. Folks, expectations dictate happiness. You go to Jurassic Park, you're not getting a love story. You go to Jurassic Park, you're getting cool dinosaurs that eat evil characters. Be happy with it. Introduced a new dinosaur in this one. $1 billion it's already made.
Indoraptor.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It was cool.
Pretty cool. Daryl Morey, one of the smartest guys in the NBA. He loves player mobility, right? Although he just lost 2 really good forwards. He's at the Summer League. He'll join us next.
Rosters are set and the teams are stacked with talent. Catch Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, and the rest of baseball's biggest stars for an unforgettable show from the nation's capital, the MLB All-Star Game, Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app.
Bryce Harper, 23 home runs on display. Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, American League outfield's amazing. Sports fans, sun is shining. Grab your friends, blast some tunes, ignite these coals. Weather like this waits for nobody. Kingsford charcoal start something. Daryl Morey is not only a really smart guy, went to Northwestern, MIT. He really spearheaded an innovative integration of statistical analytics into basketball talent. And, I've said this before in terms of analytics. Analytics are a mixed bag for me. I don't always think analytics help sports on a macro level. I think it's made baseball less base runners, fewer base runners. It's hurt baseball a little bit. It's less base runners, fewer steals, fewer plays at the plate. I don't think it's helped baseball, slowed the game down. In the NFL, analytics, no huddles, more passing, more Tom Brady playing, that's good. In basketball, it's forced players to be more skilled and shoot more, and there's more offense. So, analytics, I think, can help sports. I think it's helped basketball. I think it's helped football. I think it's hurting baseball. On an individual level, I am a big believer in statistical analysis and analytics because it's just basically information. But do you become paralyzed by it? because there is something about heart, soul, chemistry. I mean, I don't know if Chauncey Billups was a great analytical player. I loved him in my locker rooms. I loved Chauncey Billups in my locker room. I loved Shane Battier. I liked him in my locker room. I like Udonis Haslem in my locker room. Some guys lubricate a locker room. And with that, I bring on Daryl Morey. Let me ask you about that. What if a player, I'm not going to name anybody specifically, Daryl, is not a great analytic player, but you have a need, they're available. How do you reconcile that?
Well, I think with every move, we try to look at how does this help us towards our ultimate goal of winning a championship, and we obviously look at how that player has performed in the past, and obviously look at data and information to do that. That's hopefully how we improve our decision making. But we obviously look at multiple factors. And right, I saw you and you liked our off season so far, Colin. I thought that was good. I think it's pretty simple to understand what we're doing. Look, we're still chasing Golden State. They're obviously the class of the league. Won 3 of the last 4. Arguably should have probably won 4 of the last 4. And most of our moves are designed to take risks, smart, calculated risks that, if they pan out, can close that gap to them. And we feel very, very good about what we've done so far.
I'm not going to mention a specific player or talk about any report. But do you believe in you created the MIT, the Sloan Conference, the analytics? Can you take a player who's not great analytically? Have you seen this before and make him more analytic friendly? Do players evolve? Are there examples around the league?
Yeah, I would say 100% absolutely. You don't have to look very far. Take a player like Gerald Green. He's not someone who's looked good in the past, and someone who actually, when I was in Boston, we drafted and then brought into Houston in the past. But we got him at the absolute perfect time in his career, and he had the best run of his career with us under Coach D'Antoni's system. His shot selection, was improved greatly. Defensively, he works better within our switching style of defense as well. So take a player like Gerald, who's never stood out data information-wise, and look at his passion and look at how under Coach D'Antoni's system he had the best run of his career. And that gives you an example. Like we don't look at how the players necessarily work in other places. We take that information, but we say, how will they work within our structure?
You have faced the exhilaration of player mobility and the pain of it. Today, do you still love the incredible player mobility which your league embraces?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's great for the league. Ultimately, we're an entertainment business, and the off-season for the NBA has become very entertaining. I mean, it's stressful for those of us who have to work in it, but for fans, it creates an interest level that lasts basically 365 days a year, which I think is fantastic for the league.
By the way, people have suggested an idea. I'll throw it at you. That every team should have one player who does not count against the cap. James Harden, for instance. And you just pay him, there's a bidding war. He does not count against the cap. And by the way, it would help. You wouldn't get players all stacking for one team, which everybody's always petrified by, because good Lord, if I can make $42 million in Memphis or only 21 in Houston, I'm going to go live in Memphis. What about the idea that sometimes really smart GMs can feel trapped? I mean, I love Chris Paul. I don't want to give him 5 years a max. I'd give him 2 or 3. I think the way you did it and you structured it's the right way. But because of that, you have to move. Trevor Ariza moves on. If you could run the league and do something with a cap, would you toy with that idea?
I have to answer carefully here because I'm not really allowed to comment on that. But I would say I think the structure we're under works pretty well. So I'm pretty pro what the league office has put together with the players union.
Some have suggested the league's top heavy. I think it's kind of fear-based. During Michael Jordan's run, there were 7 garbage teams at the bottom that were struggling and rebuilding. What do you make? There's a lot of criticisms of the league. I don't buy any of them because I'm a 50-year-old guy. I'm not sure if I'm in the demographic. NFL and NBA, I wake up every morning and I care about both. Do you, though, on a macro level, do you worry sometimes about the top-heavy excellence of the league swaying a little too much now?
That's how the NBA has always been, frankly. If you look over NBA history, there's almost always been dynasty-type teams at various points, and that really is because the game is really indexed to the top players. That's why teams are chasing superstars. That's why we've always done that. You don't need a lot of data or information to say, look, if you want to win the title, you're going to have at least one, if not two, and hopefully even 3 top 10 to 20 players in the league. And that's been the history. I think only 10 to 13 teams have even won the title at any point in the history, and obviously we're one of the lucky teams that have won multiple titles. But if you look at the NBA is doing great. Having dominant teams isn't. I agree with Commissioner Silver. It's not that bad for the league. It creates great underdog stories. I mean, we had them 3-2. We were Chris Paul injury away from probably knocking them off. So Cleveland obviously beat them a couple of years ago in a dramatic Game 7 and a 3-1 comeback. So I think dominant teams do create really good underdog stories, and I don't really buy the fact that they're unbeatable. I mean, you look through NBA history and other sports, much bigger upsets have happened, and we almost pulled it off last year.
By the way, because of the salary cap, you have a player like Trevor Ariza. He's part of your winning culture. And then there's a losing organization that offers him a lot of money. Do you sit him down? What's the pep talk? Those are very painful losses. I think he's one of those nuanced players that has real value, especially against a long, capable scoring team on the wing like Golden State. You know, is there a sales pitch like, hey, man, you're going from a winning culture to that culture? Was that especially painful?
Yeah, Trevor's been such a big part of what we've done, and he's had multiple stints at Houston and really a beloved player and was fantastic for us. My job is to basically fit and create a championship contender within the box that the CBA gives us. So it's a pretty straightforward conversation. I spoke to Trevor 2 days ago. He has no ill feelings towards Houston. We wish him luck in Phoenix. But my job is to fit a great team within a box the collective bargaining agreement gives me. Sometimes, a guy gets a huge offer and you have to move on from that. And my job is to find new players that are going to come in and hopefully give us as much, if not more, than what Trevor gave us. And we feel like James Ennis coming in is someone that can really add a lot. We really like the upside of Michael Carter-Williams. Obviously, we're trying to take smart risks to close this gap with Golden State, and we feel like Ennis and Michael Carter-Williams do that. And we do have obviously a heavily rumored move potentially coming up that we feel good about if that works out.
Boogie Cousins went to the Warriors for an end table and $5. Pretty good deal. Did you think about making a move on him?
We obviously have great centers at the Rockets and Clint Capella, and we really believe in what Nene gives us as well, and we got some good young players. So even if we were interested at the same level as Golden State, he wasn't really going to pick us. So I don't think that was. But yes, we do look at every possible move, and we'll see. I think obviously he's a fantastic player, and everyone's sort of up in arms about him going to Golden State, but he's also a player that's often a little bit difficult to see how he might fit with certain teams in the league, and I think he's a very talented player, so it'll work fine. It'll just make the challenge that much harder, but we feel like we still match up well with Golden State, and we're going to give them a run for their money for sure.
Okay, I want to dive deep on analytics, and I know this probably.
I thought it was Manalytics, Colin.
I like that you're listening to the show.
Of course, the Herd. Who doesn't listen to the Herd?
Okay, so I've said before, I like analytics, but I do think there are Manalytics, that these are alpha male men, and you can't sit and bog these guys down. There are some things. Is there an analytic in basketball which you're still on the fence with, that you think's a little overplayed?
Yeah, I think in general defense isn't measured all that well.
Okay.
So I think that's one off the top of my head. The other one is one I was alluding to before, which is people look at how a player has worked in another team's system on offense, and they assume that that's how he's going to work in every other system when you can look at them playing a particular position, whether it's the 3 or the 4. You can look at when their shot selection gets, sort of influenced by the coaching staff, that can really clean things up. So I think probably the assumption that, as they say on every stock, that past returns does not necessarily mean what's going to happen in the future. I think that's a big thing that people miss with analytics, that, the uncertainty into the future, especially in basketball, which is, as you point out, very much a team sport, very much a man sport. We have a bunch of alpha males in Chris Paul and James Harden and P.J. Tucker. All these guys have played better under Coach D'Antoni and better in our system.
Yeah, I thought D'Antoni had a good year. I'm not going to mention the specific player. There is one guy out there on the market D'Antoni had a dust-up with. How do you repair jagged relationships? I'm not saying awful. If a relationship's jagged, how do you repair it?
Well, I think the NBA is a really tight circle, about 400 players, 30 coaches, just not a lot of people. Those relationships are generally pretty positive. Obviously, you get some of the famous ones where there's famous beefs and things like that. But I can say for a fact that, relationships can be repaired and have been repaired.
By the way, Vegas has the Lakers ahead of you guys for title odds. How's that land?
That's actually crazy. I'm just being frank like that. I think there must be a big vig on that, or that's. I'm not sure who's betting that line. So.
The line I saw was 51 wins. I'm going to take the under on the Lakers.
Obviously I don't know much about it, but I think obviously our championship odds we feel like are second in the league, and obviously we'll have to prove that.
All right. Hey, I know it's 140 degrees in Las Vegas. Hey, let me tell you something. The one guy I commented on in the draft, I stayed off Twitter on draft night. I'm no Woj or anything, but I loved Kevin Knox at Kentucky. I loved him. He's young. I don't know if you can even comment about him. I saw him in the Summer League a couple days ago. Holy moly. Can you comment about him?
He's the Knicks player, so probably not. But, yeah, I think this draft has a lot of really good players. Obviously, we're excited about DeAnthony Melton, who we drafted, has really come in and been one of the best players here in Summer League. We're 4-0 for a reason, and he's a big part of it. Vince Edwards, Isaiah Hartenstein, our player from last year. So we're hoping to hang another Summer League banner this year.
That's a no, Colin. I can't talk about Kevin Knox. All right, Daryl Morey. It's great talking about you. I love that you reference Manalytics because I do think they deserve a little love. Maybe 10%, 90% analytics, 10% Manalytics. Good luck to you. Stay out of the sun. Put moisturizer on. It's very hot there.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You bet. Sports fans, sun is shining, temps are rising. Kingsford Charcoal, start something. Weather like this waits for nobody. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Boy, Daryl is not giving the Lakers a lot of championship love this year, huh?
Well, it depends on what book you look at. Most people have the Rockets around 55 wins, the Lakers 51, 52. It just depends on the book. Houston's better than Los Angeles right now.
Well,
here's the other thing. We forget about this. We don't know. LeBron's a forward. Brandon Ingram's a forward. Kyle Kuzma's a forward. We're not exactly sure how that whole thing. I got a feeling Brandon Ingram is going to be the lost man. He's going to be the guy that gets kind of pushed out, takes fewer shots. I don't, because he's not going to handle the ball as much, and he likes the ball in his hands. So we don't know how that's going to work out.
No. LeBron James is on that team, though. So
yeah.
It's been 159 days since the Eagles won their first Super Bowl in franchise history by dramatically topping the Patriots. And in a recent interview in Sirius XM NFL Radio, Doug Peterson says he still hasn't fully grasped it.
I got to pinch myself every day. It's still hard to believe, the things that we did. And, I give a lot of credit, obviously, to our players, to our coaches, the administration, the support we've had. We battled through a lot last year. Get to that final game and a lot of confidence and a lot of trust in our players. And you don't make the decisions you make if you don't trust your guys. And that was something that was evident with our season last year. And it'll never get old to be introduced as world champion, head coach Doug Peterson, whatever, because that'll always follow you.
Wouldn't it be strange? Would this be the strangest story ever? If Carson Wentz never wins a Super Bowl and Nick Foles does. And Carson Wentz is the prodigy for 15 years in the league. By the way, Dan Marino got there early, never got back.
Yeah, I remember. There's a very nice human element to what Doug Peterson is saying, but does it also kind of play into the Super Bowl hangover idea because their whole pitch last year was we're the underdogs and no one takes us seriously, and they had the dog masks and
they got some breaks last year. Let's be honest about the Aaron Rodgers
got
got hurt.
Breaks. Everybody needs breaks to win a championship. You got to have a little bit of luck and a lot of preparation and skill.
Redskins and Cowboys had issues. Giants were a mess. They fired their coach. So in their division, they got some breaks. And then, by the way, Minnesota wins on a miracle, comes in the following week, is completely flat. They beat Atlanta on the last play on a ball that Julio Jones usually catches. They got some breaks.
You need a couple breaks. So in 2 weeks, Rob Gronkowski will jump into shark-infested waters for Discovery Channel's Shark Week. Are you a Shark Week guy?
I watch it. I don't know what he's doing.
He will appear during a July 23rd special called Monster Tag. He will accompany Aaron Rodgers and Lindsey Vonn as they join scientists in tagging tiger sharks. Now, tiger sharks are actually one of the few shark species known to attack humans.
Yeah, I'd pass. I'd be a hard pass for me on that.
It's a hard pass for me on the entire Pacific Ocean, so I'm out on.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
But I have nothing. I put nothing more than my toes in the water out here. There's
what about
sharks
the
in there.
Atlantic Ocean?
Oh, I'm down with the Atlantic, but I only go to like here. I can't. It's just. If I go to the Bahamas, I like jump in the water, swim around the boat and stuff. But like you can see to the bottom. But sharks are fast. I don't know. I'm just not into getting bit by a shark.
Okay, all right, fine, that's good.
Are you okay with active NFL players tagging tiger sharks?
You know what? I don't believe in trolling things that can eat you. That's my rule in life.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I agree. I would agree. Let them be.
Dinosaurs and sharks.
That's where they live. Leave the dinosaurs alone. Leave the sharks alone. Finally, God, I love this story. The NBA, it's just so much content with the NBA. One of the most bizarre storylines that took place last year was the altercation between the Clippers and the Rockets that involved a secret tunnel.
Yeah.
And in light of that memorable moment, the Clippers are now offering select fans an exclusive tour of the Staples Center, which includes a locker room visit and access to the notorious secret tunnel.
I kind of like that.
I think it's hilarious.
I kind of like that.
Does this play as desperate at all, though, by the Clippers?
By the way, we kind of tagged the Clippers on this show. By the way, they got a new owner. Jerry West is part of it. They play in the Staples Center, and their facilities now are really classy. We shouldn't always bang on them. They're not the Clippers of old.
No, but they don't have Chris Paul anymore, and they don't have Blake Griffin anymore.
No.
And they...
I was never a Blake guy.
Are now... no, but they were interesting, and they were fun.
They're not...
And
I think they have more talent than people give them credit for. I don't think they're quite Lob City. They all left the city, so they need more guys, but I think they actually have talent.
No, but they were up against the Lakers of last year, and now they're up against LeBron's Lakers. So that's kind of why that's going to probably continue happening. Joy
Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Little football T.O. Has said he's not going to go to Canton for the weekend festivities at the Hall of Fame. And I think he should, but he's not going to. But I think, actually, the Hall of Fame is being incredibly petty, not acknowledging him this weekend. Listen, man, Hall of Fames are full of different personalities. You have the big, thick offensive linemen. They all love each other, low maintenance. You got the superstar pass rusher, Lawrence Taylor. You got the diva wide receiver, T.O. Some guys have off-field problems. Lawrence Taylor. Some don't, T.O. Listen, T.O.'s two things I don't like. He's needy and always plays the victim. I'm not interested in those type of people. But he's great. I don't love the fact he's doing this to the Hall of Fame. But you knew what you were getting. Don't date somebody and try to change them. Don't go into business with somebody and try to change them. Don't marry somebody and try to change them. You know, if you marry the guy with a wandering eye, don't be shocked if he marries you and has a wandering eye. Okay, the bottom line, T.O. was Eagles, Cowboys, Niners, needy. He needs constant affirmation. He seeks attention at every turn. You knew that going in, and you knew it before you voted him in. I don't have to love a player being needy, but he's human. But for an institution to be petty, you got to be above that. I don't think T.O. looks as bad as the Hall of Fame this weekend.
I think it's more just a lot of the Hall of Famers feel a little slighted by T.O. not being there because they feel like the story is T.O. not being there instead of the guys that are getting in. And so I feel like the Hall kind of feels a little bit of an obligation to pacify the guys that are getting in by not doing that. And I also feel like they're not playing like a montage for T.O., which is what they do before each player.
Yeah.
I think they're worried about people booing. And they want that moment to be special and to not have any negativity around it. I feel like they should just play it and run the risk of people booing. Just say, just introduce T.O., play the montage, and then move on to the next person, or play it at the beginning or the end or whatever. But I just feel like they're in a tough spot because I know a lot of guys are really upset about it.
You find me the Hall of Fame. Rock and roll, musicians, Hollywood, media, football. A lot of divas in all of them. A lot of divas. Coming up next, there's one thing everybody says about LeBron, and we have proof it was never, ever true. That's next, best for last. Good to have you in today. Yeah, I'm serious about that player mobility we talked about with Daryl Morey. The NFL has got to be looking at the NBA right now and thinking, forget baseball's been saying this for a decade, but the NFL has to be looking at the NBA saying they stole July from us. Guys like Cowherd, who used to be on the air, these talk show host guys were on the air. July was our month. It's the NBA's month, and that's player mobility. Remember when Favre went to the Vikings and Peyton Manning went to Denver? It was the talk of the league. Even a second-tier guy like Tebow went to the Jets, didn't even play. August, September, it was the talk of the league. Player mobility is seen by so many as a weakness, but it's really a strength of this league, is that if you look at the big picture of the NBA, it's always been driven by the very top of the sport. Michael Jordan's teams were challenged briefly, never faced a Game 7 in the NBA Finals, never really faced a dynasty in the Finals. Barkley's team never won. Stockton's team never won. The Portland team never won. Gary Payton never won. He never faced a great team in the Finals. They went in as heavy favorites, and they won them usually in 5 or 6 games, never had a Game 7. Michael only faced a handful of Game 7s in his career. He flew through the first couple of rounds. Sometimes in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks would push him around a little bit, but he would always escape. 6 for 6 when he got into those finals as a favorite every time. So we've seen these dynasties before, and generally the NBA has been real easy to figure out. If you have one of the top 3 or 4 transformational players, you will be great for about 12, 15 years. Magic, Bird, Jabbar, LeBron James. Now, players now are moving more, but I think, I hear this all the time, and I've always had this belief that small towns are for high school. Odessa, Texas, they have their sports. It's high school. And they don't love their high school football any less than Ann Arbor, middle-sized towns, love their college sports. And the big cities are for pro sports. And the person in Odessa has just as strong a connection. In fact, their kids may play a stronger, more visceral connection to their high school football than Dallas has to the professional athletes who fans never meet, talk to, or commiserate with. So I never worry. What about small markets? What about them? The smallest have high school sports they love. I grew up in one of those. And then I moved to a college town, and they love their college sports. And the big cities then, of course, get pro sports. Now, occasionally, very occasionally, you do get a small town like Oklahoma City that gets a pro team. But for all the belly aching, Paul George chose them over Los Angeles. Oh, that's interesting. You know who's dysfunctional in the NBA right now? New York, Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago. You know who's not? Oklahoma City. By the way, who's favored to win the Super Bowl? A lot of people think Green Bay. New Orleans is also a top 4 or 5 pick in Vegas. We always worry about this stuff, and it's just fear-mongering. It's going to be okay. Small markets have always survived. They will continue to. Baseball's got a little bit of an issue. They had a financial imbalance years ago. Yankees cable network made a lot of money, and Cincinnati's didn't. But in most of our sports in America, we've got dynasties. They're okay, and they've been here before, and they'll be here forever, and small towns do just fine. Best for last.
After almost 3 hours, Colin apparently hasn't gotten to the point yet. Quit holding out on us, Cowherd. It's the best for last.
The media does this from time to time. They hijack a story, and there's no question the Michael LeBron story, it gets me ratings, it gets host ratings, it gets talked about, it gets digital play. But earlier today I was talking about LeBron James Sports Illustrated cover when he was 16 years old. It was called The Chosen One. High school junior LeBron James would be the NBA lottery pick right now. LeBron as a high school junior would have been the number one pick. Some say as a sophomore, he would have been a top 5 pick. He was that good. He certainly delivered on everything. But it's very interesting that the story for the last several years has been LeBron and Michael Jordan, right? Well, go back and read that story. There's a very interesting paragraph. While NBA scouts are universal in their praise of LeBron's all-around package, his shooting range, his fluid handle, his disarming explosiveness, their most common comparison is with another breathtaking passer, Magic Johnson. Quote, the most unsurprising thing is that a guy who could dominate offensively is so unselfish, said one scout. Most of these young guys don't know how to play, but he looks to make the pass first, and he is great at it. And he just signed with Magic Johnson. The media has hijacked this into a Michael LeBron comp. It's never been that. In fact, we've had a very obvious Michael comp. Kobe Bryant is Michael. When he broke into the league, he played like him. He sounded like him. Even at the end, he had a lot of Michael traits. He was the killer. He wasn't always easy to play with. Some teammates hated him. He got coaches fired. He was, at times, aloof and difficult, kind of his own drummer, right? Goes to his own beat. Kobe was always Michael. Always. They play the same. They sound the same. By the way, they're both kind of 6'5", 6'6", very fluid athletes, terrific defensively early in their career, not as great late, vertical players. LeBron's always been Magic. Pass first, abnormally big for a guy handling the ball. Magic broke into the league as a 6'9.5" point. That's what forwards were. I mean, Magic played center as a point guard. LeBron, like Magic, could play center, forward, guard. Even scouts, when he came into the league, said this is the next Magic. Now, I think he's more physically durable. I think he's a bigger, stronger Magic. He's a much bigger, stronger Michael or Kobe. But I think we've kind of hijacked this. And I think this is why LeBron to the Lakers makes so much sense, because Magic was his idol. He's never been a Michael guy. He's always been a Magic guy. If you go through the history of, and I say this all the time, general managers ask their scouts to give them comps. In the NFL, when a receiver comes out, the general manager asks the scouts, okay, give me the 3 comps. And you say, okay, he's built like Julio Jones. He runs like Andre Rison. The comp for Michael was Kobe, and the comp for Magic was LeBron. Always. Never been any question about that. Best for last. Doug Gottlieb, I started my show today talking about how, we just talked about I went and saw Jurassic Park, and the critics panned it, and I liked it because it gave me everything I wanted, which was cool dinosaurs eating evil people. And I said, if you'd have gone back 17 years to the Sports Illustrated cover with LeBron, and I'd have told you what he was going to deliver, you'd have been satisfied at like number 3. If I said just simply his first game was the greatest first game ever for a high schooler, he would take the worst team ever to the finals, he would win championships with Pat Riley multiple, then go back to his hometown, can't win anything, win one there, and I said, that's it. You'd be like, check, 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 I'll take it. But then I'm going to add, he's going to be the greatest statistical player ever. And oh, by the way, in year 16, he's the best player in the league still. You'd have been like, okay, overachieved. You forget this. He's actually overachieved. No, the only athlete I can think of who we thought was great at 16 and is overachieved is Tiger Woods. If you'd have said with Tiger Woods, because at Tiger Woods at 16, they were saying, I remember this, I was in Portland. He won the juniors in Portland, and people said, he's going to be the next great one. And literally for a decade, he's the greatest golfer we've ever seen, even better than Jack. Jack had a better career. He's the greatest golfer. Only 2 athletes in my life have been massively hyped and have lived totally up to it. I'd say Tiger and LeBron surpassed it. For 10 years, you can YouTube Tiger's greatest moments. Tiger literally changed my viewing habits. 4 o'clock Sundays, I would think intuitively, oh, God, is Tiger on? That's what The Sopranos do. That's what great TV shows do. The Sopranos, 9 o'clock HBO. I lived out east. It was like I planned my weekend around. I got to take a nap today because I got to be up late on Sunday. I host a radio show tomorrow. Sopranos changed my viewing habits, my eating habits, my sleeping habits. Literally, when Tiger then was no longer, I got my Sunday afternoons back. So I think very rarely, I think we nitpick the Tigers and I think that's just sort of the celebrity culture. We build them up, we tear them down. But Doug Gottlieb was on earlier. He liked my kind of Jurassic Park analogy with LeBron James and even had his own.
We were told at a very young age he was going to be the next great thing, and he's lived up to it. It's like Rocky IV. Was Rocky IV the best Rocky? No, but it was entertaining. It gave us Drago, right? It gave us the "I must break you" great line. Unfortunately, Apollo didn't make it to see the end of Rocky IV. But Rocky I was the best movie. But Rocky II, Rocky III, that's what LeBron is. LeBron IV, which like Rocky IV, not the best movie, but is going to give us some good stuff. And if eyes can change and yous can change, we all can change.
Yeah, I think Kevin Durant, by the way, has had 2 movies. There was the initial movie that was great but disappointing in Oklahoma City. Didn't win the big one. Now this next one has been the best, Kevin Durant, but there's still some critics. And I think Kevin Durant will have a 3rd movie. I think he will play for Golden State one more year. I think they'll be in the final against Boston. I'll take the Celtics. And then I think he'll move. You know what I think? I have a feeling what will happen is Boston will upset them. Durant will get heat. He's got rabbit ears. He reacts to everything in the media, and he'll move to prove his 3rd story to prove I don't need all these warriors. First, he wanted to prove I'm better than Westbrook. Then he wanted to prove I can win. And then when he loses, he's going to prove I don't need Steph Curry and Clay and Draymond to win. And I think Kevin Durant is the next star to move. I'm not sure where he's going to go. I don't buy Washington, but I think he'll move. Somebody I trust deeply has said it best about Kevin Durant. He's a wanderer. He's a dreamer. He's a searcher.
You just like making people panic.
Fantastic.
You've been talking about Ben Simmons all week. He's going to leave Philadelphia. Now you're talking about Durant.
When I left my house this morning, my son said, "Dad, I love you." I said, maybe.
Colin.
I can't joke anymore. Literally, nobody has a sense of humor. Maybe we'll see. Here's the over-unders. Can I give you the NBA over-unders one more time? This is according to Sportsbook AG. They have the Warriors winning 66 games and the Celtics winning 57. Folks, let me make one guarantee. The Celtics want home court. They're going to win 65 games. Sports fan, the sun is shining, temps rising, summer's here. Grab your friends, blast some tunes, ignite those coals. Weather like this waits for nobody. Kingsford Charcoal, start something. We'll be back Monday. Thanks so much for watching. For Joy, for everybody, this is The Herd.